You got the promotion, new title, better salary, the thing you worked 3 years for. And for exactly 4 days, you felt it, that quiet satisfaction of having arrived somewhere. Then you saw your colleague's LinkedIn post, same company, different team. His title was one level above yours. The satisfaction evaporated, not slowly, instantly. Nothing about your life changed in that moment. Your salary was the same. Your apartment was the same. Your work was the same. But you felt poorer. That feeling has a name. It has a mechanism. And it is running in the background of every financial decision you will ever make, whether you know it or not. In 1954, a social psychologist at MIT named Leon Festinger published one of the most cited papers in the history of psychology. His finding was simple and devastating. Humans have a fundamental drive to evaluate their own opinions and abilities. And when objective standards aren't available, when there's no clear answer to, am I doing well? We do something automatic and involuntary. We look at the people around us. Festinger called this social comparison theory, and he identified 2 directions it runs. Upward comparison, measuring yourself against people who have more money, more status, more followers, more house. Downward comparison, measuring yourself against people who have less, used as comfort, temporary relief. Here's what 7 decades of research since Festinger has confirmed. Upward comparison is the default. It's what your brain reaches for first, fastest, and most often. And in 1954, the people around you were your neighbors, your colleagues, your family. In 2025, the people around you are everyone on Earth with an internet connection, simultaneously, all day. Festinger's theory was written for a world of 150 people. You are living it in a world of 8 billion. The comparison trap runs in 3 environments simultaneously, and each one costs you money in a different way. Environment 1, social media. Instagram doesn't show you average lives. It shows you highlight reels, the vacation, the car, the apartment, the dinner. The algorithm amplifies aspirational content because aspirational content generates engagement. A 2018 study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology found a direct causal link between social media use and feelings of inadequacy around money and lifestyle. Not correlation, causation. 30 minutes of Instagram per day was enough to increase financial anxiety and upward comparison frequency measurably. What this means practically: every time you open Instagram, you are running a financial comparison against a curated selection of the most aspirational moments of thousands of people's lives simultaneously. Your brain has no mechanism to discount the curation. It registers what it sees as representative reality, and then you go shopping. Environment 2, the workplace. Your comparison group at work is not random. It is precisely calibrated. People who are roughly your age, your education level, your industry. Close enough to compare, different enough to sting. Research on salary transparency consistently shows that employees who discover a colleague earns more, even marginally, report lower job satisfaction, lower productivity, and a higher likelihood of leaving. Not because their salary changed, because their reference point did. The promotion you got feels different after your colleague's LinkedIn post because your brain doesn't evaluate outcomes in absolute terms. It evaluates them relative to the nearest available comparison. This is called reference point theory, and we covered it in episode 1. Your raise didn't shrink, your reference point grew. Environment 3, the neighborhood. The house you live in feels different depending on the houses around it. The car you drive feels different depending on the cars in the parking lot. This is not vanity. It is a documented cognitive mechanism called the contrast effect. A study by economists at the University of Warwick found that people's reported happiness with their income depended more on how it compared to their neighbor's income than on the absolute amount. People earning $50,000 in a neighborhood where everyone earned $40,000 reported higher life satisfaction than people earning $70,000 in a neighborhood where everyone earned $90,000. The number that matters to your brain is not what you have. It is the gap between what you have and what the person next to you has. Here is where comparison theory stops being academic and starts being expensive. The American Psychological Association estimates that keeping up with social comparison costs the average household $3,000 to $5,000 per year in unplanned discretionary spending, purchases made not out of need or even genuine desire, but out of the unconscious drive to close a perceived gap. The new car after your colleague's lease upgrade, the holiday after your friend's Instagram post, the renovation after the neighbor's extension. Each decision feels personal. Each decision feels chosen. None of them are. Research by behavioral economist Robert Frank shows that positional consumption, spending driven by relative standing rather than absolute need, now accounts for a significant portion of middle and upper middle class expenditure in developed economies. We are not buying things. We are buying positions. And positions, by definition, are relative. The moment you reach one, the comparison group shifts upward and the gap reopens. This is why high earners feel broke. This is why promotions stop feeling good after 4 days. This is why the finish line moves every time you cross it. The hedonic treadmill we talked about in episode 1 is partly mechanical. Income rises, lifestyle adapts, but the fuel that keeps it running is social comparison. Without the comparison, adaptation slows. With it, adaptation accelerates beyond the ability of your income to keep up. Here is what the research actually prescribes. Not motivation, not mindset advice, structural intervention. First, curate your comparison group deliberately. Festinger's insight cuts both ways. If upward comparison is automatic, the inputs matter. Audit who you follow on social media, not by whether you like them, but by whether exposure to their content increases your financial anxiety. Follows are not endorsements. They are comparison inputs. Treat them like a diet. Second, switch from social to personal benchmarks. The antidote to upward comparison is not downward comparison. That's temporary and dishonest. The antidote is temporal comparison. Am I doing better than I was a year ago? That question removes the external reference point entirely and replaces it with one that is both honest and motivating. Research by psychologist Timothy Wilson shows that temporal self-comparison produces more sustained motivation and less financial anxiety than social comparison across cultures and income levels. Third, understand the Instagram discount. Before any purchase triggered by something you saw online or in someone else's life, apply a deliberate pause and ask, am I buying this because I want it or because I saw it? That question sounds simple. It is neurologically difficult because the comparison drive is pre-conscious. You must build the pause into the architecture of the decision. A 48-hour rule on any non-essential purchase above $50 is enough to break the impulse loop in most cases. None of these require you to stop being ambitious. They require you to redirect ambition inward, toward your own trajectory, rather than outward toward a comparison group that will always, by design, be one step ahead. Leon Festinger died in 1989. He never owned a smartphone. He never opened Instagram. He never saw a LinkedIn feed. But he described, with uncomfortable precision, the mechanism that makes all of it expensive. The drive to compare is not weakness. It is ancient. It kept early humans calibrated within their social group, aware of status, sensitive to position, motivated to contribute. In a tribe of 150 people, that drive was useful. In a world of curated highlight reels, algorithm-amplified aspiration, and instant access to the financial lives of thousands, it is a weapon turned against you. Understanding that doesn't make you immune, but it makes you accurate, and accurate is where change begins. Next week, we go into something that sits underneath all 3 episodes so far, the psychology of why we make financial decisions differently when we're emotional. Fear, overconfidence, grief, excitement, and the specific predictable mistakes each one produces. If this gave you the language to name something you felt, subscribe. Share it with someone who you think is caught in the comparison trap, and leave a comment. Which environment hits you hardest? social media, workplace, or neighborhood. See you next week.